Hey everyone, welcome to the Identity Love Podcast. I'm Tracy Konane. I'm a life coach and identity specialist for folks who have lost themselves in their lives and in their relationships and don't know how to be themselves anymore. And so what I do is I help you to understand not only what it is to be yourself, but how to actually be yourself in a way that you love and you enjoy and you feel good and you have self-love while being your true self. There is a whole art to this. So welcome to episode 22. That is actually what this is about, is real self-love, how to actually do it. I just wanted to start this episode off by saying, I don't know if it was in the last episode, it might have been the episode before the previous episode, where I said something along the lines of, I just noticed I do not want to wear dangly earrings, and so I just have to accept the fact. And then, of course, this week, I felt drawn to wearing these oversized vintage t-shirts. And I looked in the mirror and I thought, what is this missing? What could tie this all together? And then I looked at my jewelry and I looked at these dangly earrings and I thought, oh my goodness, that's exactly what it needs. That feels like what I feel like inside right now. That feels like me. These dangly earrings, which I just said a few weeks ago that I do not care to wear anymore. So there you have it. That's exactly what it is to be yourself, is to be open to yourself changing and to be an art in progress. And here's one of the things I noticed is that I'm one of those people who I go through phases. I'm going to wear all black one phase and I'm just not into the color. And then 1 month later, I'm going to want to wear the most colorful stuff. Another month, I'm going to feel a little bit more rock and roll, and it fluctuates and it goes up and down. And that means I have to keep a lot of looks on hand, but I'm understanding that that's part of being me. So there's going to be things about yourself that seem like it's not right, that seem inexplicable. And you're going to want to ask yourself, why are you like this? What is wrong with you? Why can't you just be normal as far as whatever we think normal is? And there's no such thing, right? But I'm realizing, okay, if that's what it takes to allow myself to explore myself and express myself and to go through all these different fluctuations, if it just means that I have a lot of different styles on hand that I hold on to, and that sometimes certain months, those styles are not going to be something that I feel drawn to, but I just have to trust that maybe a year later I might come back to it. I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay with being not a minimalist in that sense, but to do so mindfully. So I just wanted to throw that in because there's always something that comes up and identities are always in a flux. And I am a living example of that. So self-love, how to actually do it right and well. I talked about this previously throughout the other episodes, but I really wanted to get into depth with this because it is something that I didn't fully understand. And even though there was the internet at my fingertips and I was following all the self-love bloggers and social media profiles at the time, I felt like there was something that was missing. So think about all the social media profiles that you know that are all about the self-love. And the bloggers that I saw at the time had this as well, where all their photos were so beautiful and aesthetic, and it had a certain quality to it, where it was these spa treatments and walking on the beach in a beautiful vacation locale and treating yourself like you're on a date with yourself, treating yourself to your own Valentine's, doing the positive affirmations, doing the meditation and the yoga. And it's such a beautiful thing, even hugging yourself, kissing yourself in the mirror, leaving yourself love notes. It was this whole vibe and aesthetic, the self-care. It's like everything is so beautiful, so nice. Everything is just so peaceful and uplifting. And all these people just feel so good about themselves and they're so at peace with themselves and they're so confident within themselves and they just love themselves. And it was this whole aesthetic, this image, this external image that I was envisioning in my head whenever I thought about self-love. And I thought, wow, okay, so I just need to make my life look more like that. I just have to do all these different things that will then make my life look more like that. And then I should therefore feel more like that. I should be able to feel the self-love. This is what I picked up from just looking at all the resources online. And so I was like, okay, I went and got my first facial and I took some belly dance classes and I started hanging out with separate friends that were more my friends than my partners. This wasn't with my current partner. This is in my previous relationship. And I just was trying to stay busy. I was trying to have hobbies because he told me, you need to have more hobbies instead of just sitting around waiting for me to be done playing video games. And I was like, he's right. So I started to pick up the belly dancing, the yoga, meditation, and I started looking for self-love, kind of positive affirmation music and watching all the YouTube videos. And I was doing all of these things and waiting for it to work. So I was doing all these things in this period of my life, and I noticed, okay, I feel like I'm making progress while I'm doing it. But at the end of the day, I come home and I still feel the same towards him. I'm rushing home. I am so fixated on how he's feeling. Did he miss me? Did he notice a change? Did he notice that I'm loving myself more? Does he notice that I feel more self-confident, even though I don't really feel more self-confident? Even though I just spent a whole day trying to do all the self-love stuff. And so I felt kind of annoyed and disappointed and let down. And I felt like either there's something wrong with me. Am I doing something wrong? Am I just not cut out to feel self-love towards myself? Am I that messed up that all these things that I'm doing isn't going to give me the self-love? And I was kind of getting annoyed at the bloggers because it's just annoying to see all these people living these beautiful lives and then looking at my own life and it's not working. And I'm feeling like it was kind of like they tricked me. I felt tricked and lied to, where I was thinking, oh my gosh, I just went and did all these things that you said to do and drink tea by myself and take myself out on a date, buy myself some nice things. And at the end of it, I didn't feel anything different. Everything was still the same. So I was like, what am I missing? What is it? Why is this not working? And here's what I discovered. When I was doing all these things in order to feel self-love, I was approaching it like a checklist. Like there's all these different things that I just have to keep doing over and over again. And eventually they should result in me feeling self-love. So it was this very disconnected, very logical, very left-brained, okay, this equals this. Very mathematic way of thinking about it. So I was going through the motions of trying to check all these boxes in order to earn self-love. But self-love isn't a checklist. Self-love is a whole ass relationship with yourself. Okay? It is not a list of things you do. It is not the what that you do. It is not just things that you go through the motions with. It is the result of having a whole, healthy, nourishing, dedicated relationship with yourself. So think about it this way. Imagine being in a half-assed relationship with somebody. So you go on a date with them and they're just distracted. They're kind of just playing with the food on their plate. They're not really listening to you. They're looking at what the other table is doing. They're looking at their phone, right? And then when you are walking around after the date, they're just kind of holding your hand, but they're holding it limply and they just don't care. They're not really looking at you. They're not even standing too close to you. And then you guys go home, and when you're making out with them, they're looking off into the distance. They seem really bored, distracted. Then you guys have sex, and then afterwards, as soon as it's over, they go and they check their phone, and they're scrolling through their phone, and they ignore you. And then on your anniversary, they bring you a present, and they say, happy anniversary. And then they walk right past you and go sit on the couch and start watching TV. So would you say that that is love? Does that sound like a relationship that fosters and generates love? Does that sound like a loving relationship? But why not, right? Why does it not result to love? They are doing all the right things. They're taking you on the date. They're making out with you. They're holding your hand. They're having sex with you. They're bringing you a gift on your anniversary and saying happy anniversary. They're doing all the things that you're supposed to do in a loving relationship, but they're disconnected, right? That's what's missing. It's just not this checklist of things that you have to do that equals a healthy, good, loving relationship. It is how and why you're doing it. It's not just going through the motions. It is the energy, the intent, the connection behind it, right? What's the point of going on a date and going on a beautiful trip and having an anniversary and holding hands with somebody if they just are thinking of somebody else, distracted, not even looking at you, not even really caring about what you are experiencing together? What's the point? And so this kind of half-assed relationship is the kind of relationship that we are having with ourselves when we're trying to get to self-love, but also not be in a relationship with ourselves. We're just trying to go through the motions. We're trying to act like we're pleasing ourselves. I remember thinking, oh, I'm getting a facial. This is what all the self-love people do. This must be really good for myself. This is self-love. But while I was in the facial, paying for it, sitting there through it, waiting for it to be done, the whole process, I was thinking in the back of my mind, okay, I hope this makes me look more attractive. I hope my skin looks so much better after this. I hope he notices. I hope that this changes the way that I feel about myself, so he'll be more attracted to me. I hope this changes the way that I feel about myself, so he will see how confident I am. I really hope that this changes how he feels about me. So here I was doing this nice thing for myself on paper, but behind the scenes, how I was doing it was this half-assed, disconnected thing. It wasn't for me. I wasn't relaxing and thinking, oh, I'm so glad that I'm taking care of myself. This feels so good on my skin. This is a big deal for me to spend this money on myself and have this experience. This smells so nice. I can feel myself relaxing. This is enjoyable. It wasn't anything tuned into myself. It was me just saying, okay, I hope this works. I hope this works. I hope he notices. I hope this does something for me. And even going to the belly dancing thing. I was going to belly dancing class, and yes, I was interested in learning belly dance, but in the back of my head, while I was learning all the moves and doing all the stuff, I kept thinking, okay, I gotta hurry up and get really good at this so he can be impressed. He's gonna think it's sexy. He's gonna think it's attractive. He's gonna be so impressed by me. So I just have to get really good. I gotta make sure I'm doing this to get really good. And so I would compare myself to the belly dancers on YouTube and feel like shit. And I'd say, you gotta get better. You gotta get better. And here I am telling myself, it's good you're pursuing this interest that you want to do for yourself. He's not here, so you're doing it all for you, right? Nope. It's not what I was doing. It was how and why I was doing it, right? And the reason why the how and the why is so important is because the how and the why of why you are doing the what creates the who. It creates who you are being, who you are experiencing yourself as while you're doing everything. So in these examples, who I was being was somebody distracted, the half-assed relationship. I was just barely there for myself. Who I was somebody who was doing it all in the name for a means to an end. I was still doing it for something outside of myself, for a future reward that was going to come from somebody else. And that's the whole thing. So imagine what it would be like to be in a relationship with yourself when you are like this. Imagine that there's two of you and you're taking yourself to the belly dance class or whatever it is. And when you get there, you push yourself forward and say, okay, go learn as fast as you can because you got to go impress your partner. Hurry up. Oh my God, you look terrible. This is so embarrassing. Oh my God, you are not doing it right. Okay, that looks good. Maybe he'll like that, right? Can you imagine being in a relationship with somebody who is like that? Or even when I was going and hanging out with my friends and I thought, okay, good. Look, I'm spending time with my friends. He doesn't have these friends. These are my friends. This is me time. This is great. This is what self-love is. But the whole time that I was there, if there was two of me and I was in a relationship with myself that you could see, it would be me sitting there looking at my watch being like, okay, I hope that this absence is making the heart grow fonder. I hope he's missing me. Do I think I've been hanging out long enough? Should I go back soon? I wonder what he's doing now. Is this fun? This doesn't feel as fun as I thought it would. How come I can't be present? I'm so hard for me to stay present here. Oh, okay. It's been 2 hours. Should I start to wrap it up? And so who I was being while doing this was somebody who was not in a whole relationship with myself. I was not there for myself. I was not present for myself. My mind was somewhere else, and I was doing the how and the why for someone else. And this is why I did not get the self-love. Because I'm in a half-assed relationship with myself. How am I going to feel love from that? Instead, I felt distant from myself. I felt frustrated with myself. I felt like I was missing something, which I was. Okay, and I knew all the benefits of the self-love. Underneath it all, underneath my motivation to please my partner, I understood that to love yourself is good. That must feel so amazing. To have my own inner self-confidence without relying on him. That sounds so amazing. That sounds like exactly what I'm missing. To go through my life feeling like I have a whole identity and a whole life aside from him, which means when he's busy with something or going to work or on a trip, that I won't feel empty inside and I'd still continue and be an interesting, cool person and not be over here hyperventilating until the day he comes back. That sounds amazing. It sounds amazing to be an independent partner, to be somebody who has their own sense of self, to be going out into the world not needing somebody else right that moment, and just being whole and feeling whole and good and liking and enjoying this time with myself. This all made perfect sense in my head. And this sounded like exactly what I was missing. I'm like, if I could have this, I would be so much better in my life, in my relationship for myself. It would be so much healthier for me. I knew that I needed this. But I wasn't willing to do what I was doing for my romantic relationship, which was to sacrifice. I wanted it quick. I wanted it easy. I wanted the shortcut. I wanted it to be a life hack. I wanted to just check off all the boxes and then get the self-love. And so then I could be amazing and just start living the rest of my life, right? That would be amazing. That'd be great. But I had to realize that you have to sacrifice something if you're going to have a whole ass relationship with yourself. This isn't easy. Self-love is not easy. And I'm not saying this to deter you, but to encourage you, because I thought I was doing something wrong because it felt so hard. I thought self-love should just feel like how the bloggers' pictures looked, where it's just so uplifting and easy and radiating. In reality, especially if you're starting from a shaky, unsure identity, like how I have, you're going to have to understand that this is a lifelong, dedicated relationship with yourself. This is going to be a whole shift in the way that you do things. You cannot have it both ways. I wanted so badly to have my cake and eat it too. I wanted to cling to my boyfriend and keep pleasing him and have self-love at the same time. When what I need to do is to sacrifice in the way where I let go of him. Not let go of the relationship, not say that he doesn't matter, but to stop clinging so hard and stop revolving around him, and to let go of that and see that I need to make space in my life for my own relationship, and that they can exist at the same time, but I am going to have to choose myself in more instances than not. I had to really tune in, and it's kind of like those old school radios where you turn the dial and it catches all the static in between until it finds a clear station. I was so used to tuning in to my partner and the relationship and how that was going that I hadn't realized that there's another way to tune in. You can turn the dial all the way the opposite direction, and there is another way. There is another way of going through your life and being. And it doesn't feel as clear and as intense and as exciting and as straightforward as when you're tuned in to your partner and pleasing. But you have to understand that it's a different frequency. It is supposed to feel different, but you have to adjust to that as well. And so it's retuning. I remember when I first started doing yoga for myself for the very first time. All these years I thought yoga was me time. I thought that the stretching and doing the yoga, I'm like, that's what the influencers do. That must mean that when I'm doing it by myself, it's self-love time. That's my self-love. In actuality, of course, I was just thinking, okay, this is going to make me look so fit. I'm going to measure up to all the other girls who are doing yoga. This is for him. I remember one night I had neglected my yoga practice for a long time and I was feeling really shitty about it. And so I thought, okay, fine. Tonight's the night I just get back on it. Let me unroll my mat. Let me get on there. Let me just start stretching. And something changed. I don't know what it was, but I just got on the mat. I didn't even open up a YouTube flow or anything like that. I just got on there and I started stretching. And maybe it was because I was so tired, but I started to notice, oh, I can feel that this feels kind of good when I do this. I never noticed that it felt so good just moving my shoulder like this or stretching down. And I closed my mind off to all the external thoughts about what this is going to do for me, how this is going to improve my relationship somehow, what he's going to think. I closed off all those thoughts and just really focused in. I think I closed my eyes too. And usually I would just rush through it because I'm trying to be fit. I'm trying to get this done. But I did it so slowly. And I closed my eyes and I just tuned into how it felt in my body. And I didn't look at any videos. I didn't follow anything. I already knew this basic poses. So I just created my own flow. And I did it slowly and intentionally according to how my body felt. If it felt more tight in one side of my neck, I stretched that one a little longer. And I had never done this before. I had never actually tuned in and listened to myself, what my body was feeling, how the energy in my body shifted once I started stretching. And I realized in that moment, oh my goodness, this feels good. This is kind of nice. This is enjoyable. This feels good in my body. And when I was focusing on how good it felt in that moment, even though I was stretching sore muscles and I was kind of wincing, I was for the first time allowing myself to fully enjoy the present moment of my actual muscle stretching while I was doing yoga. And I realized in that moment how much outside of myself I had been every single time. And I hadn't realized that there was another way to be, that instead of being in this rush, instead of being in this thinking of how I was going to get somewhere with this from somebody else, it was a moment of slowing way down. And if you're like me, you're one of those people who want to feel like you are productive and you are doing all the things. And that's great. But I'm speaking from my own experience where I needed to stop thinking about where I was going and what I was getting and to get present. And I never understood. I'm like, okay, be present. I am present. I see what's going on here. Present was more of just really being in my own world, focused on me and allowing myself to focus on me. That was another thing. I was constantly saying, oh, that's stupid. Don't focus on yourself. You don't have to enjoy this too much. You shouldn't go and want that thing. You don't need to go and spend more to buy that one Frappuccino that you like more. That's silly. That's such an indulgence. You don't need to be enjoying anything. But allowing ourselves to enjoy this is part of the self-love. Because again, it's a relationship. As much as you would want your partner to enjoy being with you, you have to want yourself to enjoy being with you. That's what it is to be present, is to stop thinking about all the things that you need to take care of in order to be a good person and to tune in and just see, what is my own experience like right now? Why and how am I doing this thing? And that shifted so much. I remember that night so clearly where it suddenly clicked. I got it. I said, oh, is this what they're talking about? When they're saying listen to your body, tune in, enjoy yourself, feel your body. Is this what they meant? Because I had always felt my body. I felt the soreness of my muscles. Of course, I felt all of that. But I didn't understand to truly listen and let my muscles tell me where to stretch and how long. And I used that as an analogy for so many other things in my life. When the how and the why was for myself, who I was experiencing myself as, changed. It felt like the most enjoyable, light yoga session ever. Because I wasn't thinking about how far I was. I wasn't thinking about what someone else was thinking. I was just enjoying being myself. And again, it's retuning your idea of enjoyment, because you've been tuned in to the pleasing for so long, like I have. I thought enjoyment was supposed to feel like, yeah, this is enjoyable. This is great. I love this. This is so invigorating. So I was waiting for being present in yoga to feel like, woohoo, this is great. The enjoyment is such a more toned down, but peaceful and good and healthy feeling enjoyment, where the enjoyment was that I was enjoying just existing in this moment as myself. And that might sound really boring if you're used to doing it for a reason, but it's a practice. It's retuning and adjusting and letting yourself decompress. I had been so highly tensed and attuned to always being ready for action, always being ready to do something more, to be something more for other people, that I had to really practice relaxing and saying, okay, it's okay right now to just be yourself, be in yourself. It's okay right now to slow down and look and enjoy this moment with yourself. And I know you think this sounds boring. This is me talking to myself, but it's also me talking to you. I know this feels really boring and it feels like you should be doing this for a better reason. But the reason is that you get to relax and stop thinking that you need to be more for someone else at every hour of the day. So I took this into everything else I did. When I hung out with friends, I practiced just letting go of thinking that there's something else that I need to be doing and just enjoying. Why do I like this friend? Why do I want to hang out with this friend? Why is it fun to go and eat these burgers with this friend? Why is it nice to do these things together? The how and why I was doing it was different. I was focused on how this was benefiting me in the moment. And that's not selfish. I'm like, why do I like hanging out with this friend? Oh, because she's so funny. She reminds me of what I used to be like when I used to be just more spontaneous. That's why I like hanging out with her. This is great. Just me appreciating her right now feels good. It feels like such a different energy than me sitting here thinking about what time he's coming home and all of that. So it's really noticing the difference between when you change your focus of the why and how of what it is that you're doing, because then it changes who you are being. When I'm doing things, when I'm having my smoothie, when I'm hanging out by myself, when I'm doing arts and crafts, whatever it is, when I am doing it from a place of, I'm glad I'm doing this for myself. I'm getting immediate benefit right now because I'm doing this thing that I knew I wanted to do. And I'm doing this because I want to see myself expand and grow. It changes who I'm being. It changes my relationship with myself because I'm treating myself in such a more wholehearted, loving way, right? I'm saying, yes, go enjoy being with your friend. Enjoy being with her and see everything that she is and why this time is important and enjoyable right now. Yes, let's go make this arts and crafts thing that we don't know why we're doing it. I want to see you play like how you were when you were a kid. I want you to enjoy yourself. I want you to go and read that book for 3 hours. It doesn't matter if nothing else gets done. You wanted this time for yourself. It's really about communicating to yourself why and how you're benefiting right now, why it's good. It depends on how you like to do this. There is no right or wrong style of loving yourself. But I noticed that the whole dating yourself and be your own Valentine and romance yourself, that sounds beautiful. And I know people who do that beautifully, and that is their version of self-love. But for me, that never worked. The whole romantic aspect of the self-love never really registered in my soul for that. What feels more right is for me to be like as if I had a child or a pet, where I care about their health, I care about their well-being. I want them to wake up feeling refreshed. I want them to feel happy in the moment when they go play with their friends. I want them to enjoy themselves and expand themselves and explore themselves and be who they really want to be. And it has to come from this energy of seeing myself like another person, as like a younger version of myself, or like a child where I take care of them. And that is the energy that I come from. I have to remind myself to slow down and see myself in this way. And you have to figure out what it is that makes you feel loving towards yourself. It doesn't have to feel like you want to kiss yourself in the mirror. I never feel like that. I don't look in the mirror and be like, oh my goodness, oh yes, me. Even though that's super healing for others, that's not the way that I do it. You got to find your own way of doing it. And the love for myself felt like how I cared for someone else, like a child. So when I was transitioning between these two different frequencies of my own self-relationship, I had to earn my own trust back. I had to realize I have been in a relationship with myself this entire time, whether or not I was aware of it, whether or not I was actually trying or not. This has been a whole relationship because I am with myself the entire time. I'm always going to be with myself as long as I'm alive. And how I treat myself, I know how I treat myself because I'm me. I see it. I'm not stupid. And so I realized, okay, I just have to earn my own trust back. I have to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I was trying to do all these things while still thinking of my boyfriend. I was acting like I was caring about you when it was really just about my partner. I'm sorry that I was trying to show you love that way. That's not how I actually want to show you love. I want to show you love by caring about you, by caring about how you're feeling, by focusing in more on what you're telling me. You're saying that you're frazzled and you need to talk it out. Would I do that for my boyfriend? Of course I would. So I'm going to stop. Even though it feels like it's a pain in the ass in the moment, I'm going to stop and have you talk to me. Tell me what's bothering you. Tell me what it is. Tell me what you want to do today. Don't think about your boyfriend. Don't think about what he would want to do. If this was your day to yourself, what would you want to do? Oh my gosh, you feel like going to the park, just sitting there and hula hooping or something? Or you want to go to that vintage store and check it out just for fun? Let's go and do that. That sounds cool. It sounds cheesy when you're saying it, but this is hardcore stuff. This is really hardcore because everything in our life is distracting us from ourselves. Everything in our life is pulling us away from this relationship with ourselves, which is the most important relationship in our lives and is the only relationship that will actually give us self-love and inner peace and inner confidence and all of that. Everything is pulling us away from ourselves and say, no, pay attention to this. Compare yourself to that person. Listen to what that person expects of you. Listen to what that person wants. Everything in the world is trying to distract ourselves from ourselves. And so it's the most hardcore, badass thing to go and choose to spend your time and your priorities dedicated to this relationship with yourself, to maintain this relationship with yourself through all the shit that's going on, through all the distractions, through people's opinions. It's hard. Earlier this week, something happened where I felt torn in two separate directions. And I thought, oh no, I'm feeling like I need to please. I'm feeling like I need to just go against myself and please. And it was really tough. I felt the anxiety whelming up. I felt so distracted and it was hard. But I sat with it. I let it sit there. I let myself feel uncomfortable through it. And I let myself work through it until I came to a conclusion of what it is that I truly wanted to do for myself. just like how we do uncomfortable things, just like how we give up so much of our time and energy and effort to somebody else out of love. We have to be willing to do those things for ourselves. And this is why I say it's hardcore, because a lot of the times it's so uncomfortable. It takes a lot of fortitude to love yourself properly and to heal this relationship with yourself, to make amends with yourself, to say, hey, from here on out, we're going to try to do things differently. I am going to mend this relationship with you. I am going to start to pay more attention to you. It is about how and why you're doing it, and less about what exactly it is that you're doing. Almost anything can be self-love. It just depends on how and why you're doing it. You can be someone who is in this loving relationship with yourself for life, and to recommit to it every day, even though it's hard. You recommit by paying attention to yourself and tuning into yourself and letting go of the feeling that you need to be doing something more and that this should be more exciting, and tune into yourself and let it just be peaceful, and to see the peace as nourishment, as the foundation of leading to that self-love that you really want to experience. And decompressing, detoxing from constantly being on edge, constantly trying to perform for somebody else, and to come back into yourself. It is a whole practice, and it is a dedicated relationship. So remember, just like how they always say in the self-love quotes and stuff, you are 100% worthy of your self-love. You are not supposed to have to do anything more to earn your self-love. That is true. You are worthy of your own self-love, but you are in a relationship with yourself. And if you have been treating yourself in your relationship poorly, neglecting it, abandoning it, distracted the whole time while in this relationship, you are going to have to earn your own trust back. You're going to have to say, hey, I see what we need to do differently here. Literally talk to yourself. When no one's around, literally talk to yourself and say these things to yourself. You want to be in this whole ass dedicated relationship with yourself. And there is room for both relationships. When you get into the flow and the practice of going through your life with the why and the how to be with yourself, to do things for yourself, when it comes to other relationships, you are going to be just naturally already present for that as well. So working on this and centering this self-relationship as the main focus of your life is only going to benefit everything else, even though it doesn't feel like it in the moment. It is always going to trickle out and help you do everything else and be who you most want to be in all other areas of your life. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I am going to talk to you next week. Bye.